Whenever she's on the floor, you know what you're going to
For
get.
sure. And I think I'm glad you mentioned the your Comets ties, because I had a quick question about her last season spent with you all in particular. What was it about her game that stood out to you as something that you could potentially see translating well to other international play, i.e., in the Turkish league that she spent time in, and naturally also garner the attention in terms of attracting another WNBA team to see a vision of her with their roster?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think I'll start with leadership. Whenever she's on the floor, you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get a player that most certainly knows how to run the offense. So at the one, she has the ability to create her own shot. She has the ability to get us into our offense. She has the ability to shoot the ball and keep people involved across the board. I think probably the one great example was in the middle of July. We had a back-to-back weekend doubleheader, so a Saturday and Sunday game, both away on the road. We went out to a regional centre in the Greater Sydney area called Penrith. It's about an hour away, not too far for a drive. Obviously, all the players get them there, get themselves there. There's no team bus required. She had 50. And then the following day, we had a road trip to Canberra, and those familiar with Australia would know that Canberra is probably about maybe 4 hours on the bus. So the very next day, she had another 50. So back to back 50s on the road in crunch time for us, qualifying for the playoffs. She shot over 50% for both games combined, 8 for 16 for three. It's tough. That's a tough road trip back to back, 24 hours, dropping 100 points in two ball games. I think is the perfect example of her ability to get it done under pressure. So from my perspective, her ability to knock down the three ball, create for her teammates, and lead a group of women on a common goal, for me is rare. Not too many people can score back-to-back 50s on the road in the crunch in what is Australia's second toughest basketball competition. So for me, that's certainly the highlight. But what was pretty special about that weekend is her teammates were really rooting for her as well, right? So it wasn't Shy just out there trying to get her own. It was a group of tough players trying to qualify for the playoffs, and knowing that someone that can score the ball was scoring the ball. So they certainly rallied in around her and through their support behind her. Not necessarily trying to get her to the 50, but making sure they were putting her in the right spots to get open shots. So that just tells me that she has the ability to bring people together, and if she's on a roll, she gets on a roll, and that was a pretty special weekend, I think, for us as a group.
Peter, I'm from Chicago. I'm not working in Phoenix. I'm in Chicago now on a little vacation. We have an endearing term that we have for ballers that have the type of drive and play with the type of urgency that Shyla does. We call them dogs.
Yeah,
And she's very much one of those.
yeah,
I think that maybe one of the things that stands out most to me on film, and you kind of hinted at it already, and I would love for you to go into more detail on it, especially as a lead guard, even if scoring might be your best trait in terms of what you bring to the court, you still have point guard duties to tend to on a possession by possession basis. Can you speak to how her day-to-day process allows for her to uplift the confidence of her teammates over the course of practice, yet alone in games, and how she consistently finds ways to get more out of her teammates?
yeah. That's a great question, and a lot of young point guards struggle with that ability to score the ball, but also facilitate. And for me, it's why it's one of the toughest positions to play in basketball is how do you score the ball, but also make sure you keep your teammates involved as much as you can, and it's her ability to organize. So making sure that we're in our stuff and shooting in the flow of the offense is pretty crucial. So she puts the work in. She's got great handles. Her ability to get to the right spot at the right time, make the right play when you need to make the right play. It's just really tough as a scoring point guard, as you guys would know. Is when do you push and when do you play? I guess is probably the best way to do it. But I found she very rarely took shots out of the flow. So our team is pretty much the same size 1 through 5, and it's a similar challenge for us this year. We don't have a tremendous amount of size in our backcourt, so we've got the ability to switch 1 through 4. So on the defensive side of the ball, making sure that the right reads are being made. We get out into transition. She attacks from either the top on a high pick and roll. Her ability to come off the high pick and roll and shoot that pull up three is pretty unique in basketball, right? So there's a lot of guards that like to get downhill out of that spot, and she can do that as well. But that 30 to 35 foot high pick and roll where you can just turn the corner and hit that pull up if you're open is where I think she shoots in the flow of the offense. But then if that's not there, she can get downhill and facilitate and make sure everyone is involved if they're in the right spot to make the catch and get their own opportunity. So it takes time for point guards to get that part of their game down, especially if they can shoot the ball. So the last thing you want is a point guard that gets us into our offense and shoots 4 or 5 shots in a row while everyone else is just kind of trying to get to their spot, get a rebound, get back in transition defense. I think her skill, and that's come with experience, is her ability to understand when and where to attack and when we need a big shot, and just making sure that we're always in the flow. And for me, that's I think me watching her for the period of time that I was assistant at the NBL 1 level last year, multiple practices, is that she is absolutely an unselfish hooper that just that can happen to score 50. So that to me is a rare blend for any guard, regardless of whether they're just in their early 20s or their early 30s.